Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to our last Shabbat of the Yachad year, our Chazakah service. It's so great to see families from so many different grades and corners of our Shabbat morning community. We want to make sure that everyone has a prayer book, a Siddur. The prayer book, the Siddur, says Mishkan Tefillah on the cover. If you have a book like that, will you hold it up high like Rabbi Timoder is doing? If you have a book that says Mishkan Tefillah, please hold it up, look around, make sure that that's indeed the right book, because you may see other books, which we'll come to later. But this is the book that we need right now that says Mishkan Tefillah. And if anyone needs a prayer book because you can't find one, just raise your empty hand, and maybe Mara, who's in the back, might bring a prayer book to anyone who has their empty hand raised high. Does anyone need a prayer book? Oh, I see Jonah's ready to hand some out too. Anyone need a prayer book? We okay? All right, fantastic. Let's keep singing those words. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. A little louder. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. I'm looking around and I realize it may have been a long time since you were here in the sanctuary on Shabbat morning. Raise your hand if it's been a long time since you've been here in the sanctuary on Shabbat morning. We're so glad you're here. Welcome. Raise your hand if this is your first time in the sanctuary on Shabbat morning. This is your first time. Wow, we're so glad you're here. So the way we're beginning right now is actually the way we begin every Shabbat morning. Even if it's not the last day of Yachad, we always begin by singing Shabbat Shalom and making sure people have a prayer book. And then I always say these prayer books open from right to left, because not everyone knows that Hebrew goes from right to left. And so these books open from right to left because they're mostly in Hebrew. And we're going to open them now to page 192. I always pause right before that just to make sure everyone's listening. Page 192. Look in the lower right corner. Now, you may be particularly blessed this morning with a version of the prayer book that has two numbers in the lower right. And if you have to choose a number, choose the one in brackets. Always choose the number in brackets. So look in the lower right. If there's a bracketed 192, that's for you. And if there's just one 192, that's also for you. And in the middle of that page, you'll see two more Hebrew words, which we're going to sing right now. Those words are Ma Tovu. Ma Tovu. Ma Tovu. Again, page 192 in the lower right. Ma Tovu. Ma Tovu. Ma Tovu Alecha Yaakov Mishkeno Yisrael. Ma tovu, let's try it again. Ma tovu, you got it, sing a little louder. Ma tovu, you're sounding beautiful. Ma tovu, Ma tovu, the middle of 192. Vani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim berov chasdecha Aneni bemet ishecha. Ma tovu, whisper. Ma tovu, Ma tovu. Two more times. Ma tovu, Ma tovu.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Let's try that again. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. There we go. There we go. It is great to see you here this morning. And this morning is a little bit of a reset kind of a morning. Because it used to be, and some of you might not know this, it used to be that Yachad, Yachad means together. And it used to be that Yachad was based around Saturday mornings. And it was about parents and kids coming together. And parents and kids would come together, and that still happens with Gan Shabbat. I see Gan Shabbat, I think, is coming in now. Parents and kids would come together in the mornings, and they would start their morning either at Gan Shabbat or here in the sanctuary, and then have time to sit together and learn the prayers together, learn Hebrew a little bit together, be in community together, experience Shabbat together. And then they would go, kids would go off to class, and parents sometimes would stick around or sometimes might take off till it was time to pick up the kids. But it was based around the sanctuary. And in the last couple of years, we haven't really been able to gather in the sanctuary in any kind of consistent way, and so it really hasn't been a thing. And so we've missed you here, and we're so glad to have you here this morning. Now, Chazakah also used to be something different, because Chazakah means taking possession, means ownership. And Chazakah was the 10th grade year, because the 10th grade year was basically our last year of Yachad. And so in the 10th grade year, the whole year was called Chazakah, and the idea was that 10th graders would come and spend the year taking possession, owning their Judaism, figuring out what it meant to them, what it was going to be in the rest of their lives. And then this service, the last service of the year, was their chance to kind of show all the things they'd learned. And everybody would come and hear from the 10th grade all the things they'd learned. And each 10th grader made a different project and came and did something different and unique and original. And it was in any kind of medium. And they would present in their words, in their perspective, what Judaism meant to them. But that couldn't happen for the last 2 years because of the pandemic. So we are today in a kind of a reset of what is this day? Because the other thing that's changed is that we don't end at 10th grade anymore. Beautifully, we go through 12th grade now. And we have like really vibrant 11th and 12th grades. And so it doesn't make sense to have the culminating year be 10th grade because it's 12th grade. So now what we're doing today for the first time, first of all, we're welcoming you back to the sanctuary, which is a really big deal and really wonderful. And secondly, we're giving all of our grades a chance to show us a little bit, just a little bit of what this year has been for them. So during our service, sprinkled throughout all morning, we're going to hear from every grade. Just very, very briefly, they're going to all have a moment to be able to kind of show us something that matters to them that they did this year. And that's what Chazakah is going to become from here on out, that the last Shabbat of Yachad of the year, we all gather, and we get a chance to have in our Shabbat morning service, sprinkled throughout, a little bit from everybody. Because it's everybody's culminating service. And so this is what we're doing. So next year, Shabbat morning is going to be back on. So mark your calendars, because Shabbat morning is going to be back on. And if you are a Tuesday, Saturday family, that will mean that every Saturday you come in the morning, 9:30 in the morning, and you come and you join us for Shabbat celebration. Whether you're kindergarten through 2nd grade or whether you're 3rd through 6th grade, or older, you come in the mornings and we get to celebrate Shabbat together, and you get to be more community, and parents get to know each other better, and everybody gets to know each other better, and it's part of how we do it. And if you're a Monday, Wednesday family, you know that there's 7 Shabbats during the year that you're supposed to come to for Shabbat, and that's going to become real again. That you come in Shabbat, and this is the gathering time. This is the Yachad time. Yachad meaning together. We're all together. Okay. So part of what I like to say in the beginning of the morning when it's not Chazakah, I like to talk about why. Like, why does Shabbat matter? Why is it worthwhile to come in the morning? Why is this a valuable thing to have in your life, in the life of your family, and in any of our lives? Because there's this brilliant thing that we have in Judaism. It's brilliant. And we inherited it, and it's really old, so we might think, like, who needs that anymore? But actually, it's the thing you need, and I need, and we all need. Because we live in a world the world has never moved faster than this world now, right? It's never been going at this pace before. It's just getting faster and faster and faster and faster, right? Anybody have that feeling, right? And there's just too much all the time coming at us. And we have these devices that buzz and beep and ring, and maybe they're on silent, but they're still constantly telling us.
You're talking about phones, not kids, right?
Devices?
Yeah.
I usually don't talk about kids that way.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I don't really think about kids as devices.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
No, yeah, I'm talking about phones.
Okay, good.
Thanks for checking.
Yes.
But we have these things that are constantly like, hey, you're missing out. There's this amazing thing on social media. You missed it. Did you see that? Did you see the post? Did you see what's going on? Oh, there's a news headline. Did you hear it? Did you know? And also, somebody's trying to text you right now. Somebody's trying to call you right now. And there's emails. Oh my gosh, my inbox, full. Empty it, right? Anybody have this experience? All right. It's very noisy out there. It's very busy out there. And we have this wisdom, which is that everybody needs a vacation, like not just like a couple times a year, every single week. We need a vacation. We need to turn those things off. So if you have something that might buzz or beep right now, you turn it off. You don't need it right now. It doesn't matter what's happening out there right now. And just from the work world, from the world of busyness, we just need a vacation every 7 days, just a day where we just stop. We just stop. And you know what Shabbat means? Lishbot. It means to stop. It means to stop. Stop. Just for a second, just stop. And notice, like, oh my gosh, I'm alive. I'm alive. And it's amazing. And it's beautiful. And it's miraculous. And it's right now. And it isn't forever, but it's right now. And there's wonders in the world if I just pay attention. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I'm busy and I'm worried and I'm full of serious troubles. But if I just actually stop for a second and pay attention, oh my gosh, I forgot. It's miraculous out there and in here. And I can breathe. And I have this miracle of a body. And I get this like a day today, like to do anything, because life is full of adventure. And the sky is amazing, and the trees are amazing, and life is amazing, and my family's amazing, and the people I love are amazing, and I can feel love, and that's amazing, and oh my gosh, I'm alive. That is what Shabbat is. And so we use this time in this space to use the words of our tradition to try to access that feeling. Now, for some of you might think, like, I don't really like to pray. It doesn't work for me. It's not what it's, like, I don't really, these words don't speak to me, and whatever. Fine. I give permission every single Shabbat morning, like, use this time however you want. Just like close your eyes, listen to the music, or find a single word and just like spend your time thinking about that, or use the blank spaces, or use the poetry, or use the comments at the below, or use the time to learn some Hebrew, or whatever. But like, take this sanctuary as a sanctuary from that rush out there, and time with your family, and holding each other's hands, and remembering just what's precious, like what actually matters. That's what we're doing every Saturday here. And so we invite you into that. It is really important for you, for me, for us, for life, for the future of life on earth, stuff like that. Okay? Okay, so we're gonna go, one more thing. We say the name of God a lot in this service. We're praying to God, we talk about God, right? And maybe you're somebody who's like, I don't know what I think about that. Like, I don't necessarily want to proclaim things that I'm not sure. I don't know what I think about that. And if you're a kid here, you're going to be exploring and thinking, like, what do I feel? What do I think? How do I relate to that? Right? We did that, 10th grade, right? We did a whole lot of thinking about modern ideas about God, and what do we think, and what do we not think, and what do we believe, and what do we feel, and how are we different from each other? Okay, So here's the thing. Let's say for you, you're somebody who you see the word God and the name of God and you just think like, it's not, I don't know, it's not. Okay, so don't let it stop you. Translate it. Because the point of that is the point of awe. It is saying you are small. This thing we're in, really big. Span of time, cosmos, life, really big. I am really small. And wow. So if you need to translate that in any way that just reminds you of wow, you're actually getting the point. You're not missing out. Just don't spend time fighting with it, because that's a waste of time. All right. Okay. We are turning to page 194, but we're going to pray words that are actually not on page 194, because we'd like to keep you on your toes. We're going to pray some words in English. Cantor Breitzer is going to lead us in them. It's about the miracle of being alive. It's just kind of our like wake-up song, the miracle of being alive. If anybody goes to Jewish summer camp, you know this well. The last line of it is in Hebrew, and that line is on page 194. It's the last line in the Hebrew. Then we're going to go from there to page 198. I'll tell you about that later. You don't have to remember that page. And those are the miracles of every morning. They're just basically our ancestors' way of saying, like, waking up in the morning is amazing. We usually rush past it. Pay attention. The fact that you have a body that can wake up, that you have eyes that can see, that you can move your limbs. This is amazing. Let's stop and appreciate that. And then we're going to go from there to Psalm 150. Psalm 150 is the last of the Psalms, and it is basically just centered on the word hallelujah. And hallelujah is just basically, you know what that is. It's just basically like, wow, awesome, okay? And when we get there, I'm going to give you instructions about how to engage with it. But even if you don't follow the words at any point, just don't worry about it. At any point, don't worry about it. But certainly you can just sing hallelujah and you got it. All right, page 194, the miracle of our bodies.
I thank you for my life, body and soul. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. I will live each day as a gift I give to you. Can you go with me? How round can you make your lips? I thank you for my life, body and soul. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. I'm perfect the way I am and a little broken too. I'm perfect the way I am and a little broken too. I will live each day as a gift I give to you. I will live each day as a gift I give to you. Oh, get ready to own some more. A little bit higher. Oh, even higher, even louder. Oh. Middle of 194. Baruch atah Adonai Roveh kol basar u'machli la'asot. Once again, Baruch atah Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen. 200. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids. 202. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who made me in the image of God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Yisrael with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Yisrael with splendor.
All right, we are going to turn now to page 218, where you'll find Psalm 150. And what we're going to do is everybody is going to come right here. Everybody's going to come on this side, all around us up here. Everybody in any pew, anywhere, you're going to come up forward. You can take your prayer book. You can also, if you want to have your hands free to clap, you can leave your prayer book. Either way, come on up. Come be right around us. Every single person. Be careful of this wire as you come up. Just be careful, don't trip.
Let's whoa some more. Here we go. Whoa. Whoa louder. Whoa. Whoa higher. Whoa. Keep moving forward. Keep moving in. Whoa. 218. Hallelujah.
Come down the aisles, all the way down the aisles, all the way up.
Hallelujah. All the red space. Hallelujah. Look at all the space. Come on in. Hallelujah. And take us so far. Hallelujah. And take us so far. Hallelujah. Never let me know. Hallelujah. The count of 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Come on, kindergartners. Come on, 3rd graders. Come on, 10th graders. Hallelujah. 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 snap your fingers? Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Whisper. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
All right, if you were here for the first time this morning, you might not know we actually literally do this every Shabbat morning. So welcome. And we take that energy that we just built up and we make this into the friendliest place in Brooklyn. So you got to find somebody you don't know, introduce yourself, and wish them a Shabbat Shalom.
And then stay right here for a while, right? Stay here.
All right, great job being friendly.
Let's all stay here for a bit.
Stay here. Stay up front. Stay up front. You're not going back to your seats. Stay here. Don't go back to your seats. So, wait, anybody who's walking back in the sanctuary, you're not doing the right thing. Come back. Come forward. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about it. Stay here, everybody. Okay, if you are in 3rd grade, I want you to say Hineni. 1, 2, 3. Oh, if you're in 3rd grade, Hineni. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. So I'm just gonna say a word about what the 3rd grade has been doing this year. So the 3rd graders here have been learning about everything about the Jewish life cycle. Like what happens in terms of celebrating the different milestones in life from a Jewish perspective. So birth, baby namings, b'nai mitzvah, conversions, weddings, and Jewish mourning rituals. Also a little bit about tikkun olam and holidays. And the big thing they did, the big project this year was the naming ceremony. They learned about every aspect of the beautiful tradition of babies receiving names. And they had stuffies. Do you happen to have your stuffy here? You couldn't find it. Okay. Well, so they got stuffies, and that was part of how they thought about the blessings that we give to. Oh, is that your stuffy? It's a stuffy. This is the stuffy. They got stuffies, and they did naming with the stuffies, and they thought about the blessings that we give on through names. Like sometimes we give names to children that are about things we want them to be blessed with, like strength and love and good memories of people we've lost. And names help us keep our family memories and traditions. And so they had a chance to talk, they had a naming ceremony, right? And they could talk about all the different important people in their families. And so we're gonna, with that idea, turn to Chatzi Kaddish.
We're actually going to go right, I think, to Baruch Hu, because I'm feeling called to prayer. Baruch Hu means, are you ready to pray? And I'm wondering if there are any Yachad students here in any grade at all who want to help me lead Baruch Hu. It's very simple. All you have to be able to do to lead Baruch Hu is to bow from your waist. So if you think you can bow from your waist like that, come up here with me and help me call everyone to prayer. We're on page 226, and you're going to bow from your waist. But you have to stand up. You have to stand up, and you have to face this way. Face this way, that way, other way, that way. There we go. Okay, if you're ready to call people to prayer and ready to bow from your waist, you're going to face this way toward Jerusalem, this way. Face this way. In fact, I'm going to go up here with you so we can all do it together. All right, page 226, get ready to bow from your waist. Here we go. Baruch Hu, and straight back up. Et Adonai, Am Bevorah. Get ready to bow. Baruch. Straight up. Adonai. You can stay straight standing up now. Am Bevorah. Am Bevorah. Me'olam va'ed. Am Bevorah. Am Bevorah. turn around toward me and raise your hand if you are in kindergarten or first or second grade. So if you're in kindergarten or first or second grade, you can stay right here with me. If you're not in kindergarten, first or second grade, if you're not K1 or 2, you can go back to your seat, and that includes all of you here. Because I think what's going to happen now is a chance to learn about what kindergartners, first and second graders have learned about, right? Rabbi Timoni, what do you think? Is this a moment for Jess?
This is a moment for Jess and Lisa.
Oh, but let's head back to our seats quietly because I'm really interested in hearing what the first grade in particular has learned.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to say this while everyone's going to their seats. So I'm one of the kindergarten teachers, Jessica Moore. Hello. This year, we have spent time learning about what is being Jewish. Also, what is Shabbat? What are all these rituals we have? Where do they come from? Also, how do we take care of ourselves? How do we care for each other? How do we care for the wider community as kindergartners? Oh, also, the kindergartners have their stuffies today. You might see their Torah stuffies. They got them today to go home, and they're very happy about them.
Thanks, Jess. And this year, first grade spent time learning about why rest, why celebration, and why fairness are important ideas in Judaism, and how to make Judaism our own by creating our own rituals. And in second grade, Lisa?
Is Lisa here to talk about second grade?
I'll talk about it.
Okay.
The focus in second grade was Lador Vador, which means from generation to generation. Second grade began exploring the Jewish traditions and stories that we've inherited from our own families, and spent the rest of the year looking at how leaders in the Torah serve as role models for our own behavior. All right.
With those words of Torah in our ears, we're going to turn to page 232 as our kindergarten, first and second grade resist the temptation to play with the screen and instead help us lead Shema, which means listen. And they're going to start really softly, I think. Is that right, Jordan? We're going to start really softly and each time get a bit louder. Okay, can everyone come up close? Kindergarten, first and second grade, right behind me. And you're going to whisper in my ear. And then you're going to get a little bit louder, but not do it in my ear. Instead, do it out there, okay? 232, ready? 1, 2, 3. Shema Yisrael. Adonai, even louder, Shema Yisrael. Adonai, loudest of all, everyone. Shema Yisrael. That was awesome. You can all head back to your seat.
Page 234.
בכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם במזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
Beautiful. Now we're going to hear from our fifth grade about restorative justice.
So can I get all the fifth graders to come up? And if you have your hamsas that you made, also bring them up. So hi, everyone. My name is Lisa. I've been teaching fifth grade. So this year, fifth graders have been exploring mitzvot, which are commandments from the Torah about how to lead an ethical Jewish life. And we studied the ways in which leaders in the Torah and in the modern world have grappled with these mitzvot. This culminated in a Passover restorative justice circle in which we applied the mitzvah of Tikkun Olam to give the characters in the story an opportunity to share the ways in which Pharaoh impacted them through his actions. Together, the students worked to repair the harm done and heal the community. Students took this learning and identified the mitzvot that are most meaningful to them and designed a hamsa to remember to uphold these mitzvot as they continue their Jewish leadership journey.
If you have a hamsa, can you hold it up so everyone can see? Hold it up over your head. Way over, high over your head. Look at these. Wow. Beautiful.
So thank you, fifth graders.
Yasher Koach. Let's march back to our seats, fifth grade. 240, everyone. Let's all stand up. If you're in fourth grade, please join us right here. Fourth grade. Lord Yisrael, Uma be'ezrat Yisrael, Ufedei Kineumecha, Yehuda be'Yisrael. Come on up, fourth grade, right here. Go Aleinu, Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom again. So these are fourth grade students, and you may see them in costumes because this year we were exploring Midrash and Torah figures. So if you don't know, Midrash is rabbinical interpretations of biblical stories, sometimes to answer a question or fill in a gap in the story. So like the rabbis, the fourth graders chose biblical verses that they wanted to explore, that they were curious about, and they answered their own questions through podcasts, skits, and newspaper articles. So, thank you very much.
You're actually going to stay right here, I think, because why not? You can help us lead the Amidah. Would that be all right, Rabbi Timona?
I'm going to be fabulous.
Okay.
We're turning to page 242 for
Let's
the
turn this
Amidah.
way. Let's turn this way. Let's turn this way. And you're going to see me bow and bend my knees. You ready to do it? Ready? Remember this? Let's sing it louder. Let's sing it higher. Open up your lips. Loudest of all. Take 3 steps back. Adonai Sivatai Tivtach. And 3 steps forward. Ufiyahi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, 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 Atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei HaKol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה 246 אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיים את אימת הרב להושיע מוריד אתה מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו בשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. 248. מקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב על יד נביאך וקרא זה אל זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו אדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו. Clap your hands. אחד הוא אלוהינו וחבינו ומלכנו ומושיענו ויחיינו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם. אלוהים ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד עוד לך. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד עוד לך. ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש לשמך אלוהינו, נביאנו לא ימוש לעולם. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד עוד לך. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד עוד לך. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. This is the time for our silent prayer, to get really, really quiet, to get so quiet we can feel our heart beating, we can hear ourselves breathing, we can feel what it's like to be standing with our feet on the floor. We can get really, really, really quiet. And when you're done with your quiet prayers, you can go back to your seat. You're done with your quiet prayers, you can have a seat. middle of page 260. 260. Adonai Tzuri ve'go'ali, Adonai Tzuri ve'go'ali. Repeat after me. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, and my Redeemer. Yasher Koach. Does everyone know our cantorial intern, Jordan Goldstein? We say Shabbat Shalom, Jordan? Kindergarten, first, and second graders know Jordan, right? Raise your hand if you sing with Jordan every Shabbat. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, we're almost ready for the Torah service. We're going to take the Torahs out of that ark. We're going to parade them around the room. We're going to chant from them. More specifically, our 10th graders are going to chant from the Torah. But first, we have a very brief greeting from, I believe, Karen Gerwin. Yeah, there she is. Come on to the front, Karen, very briefly. Karen is, what? Very brief. Karen is like one of the most important people at CB. You should know that. First of all, she's been a member for a long time. Secondly, she is our director of engagement. So director of engagement is what it's called. But basically, she does a lot of things. And she's going to just quickly greet you and I think make one announcement, right?
Just one little announcement. Welcome, everybody, and Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to our clergy, Rabbi Timoner and Cantor Breitzer and Jordan Goldstein. And thank you to Mara Sandroff, who is our staff person also working today, and to Gabby Sabransky, providing sound and online support. I want to say Yasher Koach to all of our Yachad students for everything you're doing in the service today, and Mazel Tov on finishing a great year. And my one announcement to parents is that we are having an amazing event on Tuesday, June 14th. We are having the CBE Spring Fundraiser, which is coming back as an annual event. It's going to be a great night. Please go online, buy tickets, come, eat, drink, and enjoy fun entertainment. We're building a foundation for the future, and we'll be honoring our friends and longtime members, Kara and Rob Rach. So thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Karen. All right, so to take that Torah out of the ark, first to open the ark and then to take the Torah out, we need any 6th or 7th graders who are here in the room. Please come forward. I need your help. Excellent, excellent. Because, on the day that they become B'nai Mitzvah, they are gonna, each of them, take that Torah out of that ark and come up here and chant the Shema and do the Hakafah, walk it around the room. So we're gonna practice that together right now. We're gonna turn to page 362, 362. And actually, before I tell you to rise, who here has the next B'nai Mitzvah? Lily, when is yours? June 4th. That's really soon. That's right. All right, so that's pretty exciting. And then everybody else is on a date coming after that, but it will come in the blink of an eye, and we can't wait to celebrate with you. Okay, we're going to turn to page 362. Please rise. Wow, thank you, 6th and 7th graders. That was phenomenal. It's going to be 2 seconds before you're going to be doing this on your B'nai Mitzvah. Everyone can be seated. So Shabbat Shalom, CBE. We're just going to do that one more. That was pretty good, but I'm just going to do it again. Shabbat Shalom. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so we've got some 10th graders chanting Torah this morning. We're reading from Parshat Bahar. You're going to hear about the Parsha soon. But Parshat Bahar is in the book of Leviticus. It's the second to last Torah portion in the book of Leviticus. Bahar means at the mountain or on the mountain. And that's referring to, of course, Mount Sinai. If you want to follow along, we're on page 850 in the Torah commentary, I believe. Is that correct? Yes. And we're going to invite our Yachad teachers to come up for this first Aliyah. They have worked hard all year to make Yachad amazing. I heard some like whoops and some clapping. Would you want to do that? We generally don't clap, but you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yamdu, Yamdu, Kol Tzevet Hamorim Shelanu L'Aliyah LaTorah.
We're going to want all the 10th graders right up here.
We're actually, Rabbi Timona, we don't need all of them just yet.
Oh.
What we need first, chanting the first Aliyah, will be B. Adelson, Ben Siegelgainer, and Elias Youngelson. If those 3 10th graders could come up here, please.
I'm all into the clapping today, but just for future reference, because I encourage you to clap, but I always have to say this every Shabbat. Did you know that in synagogues, generally, we don't applaud. We generally say Yasher Koach when something great happens. And I find myself saying it every week, but then I just gave you the counter information, so I just need to make sure I haven't done the wrong thing here. So generally, we say Yasher Koach when somebody does something great, and it's good to practice that.
So if we can make sure that all of the Yachad teachers who can hear my voice are standing here, I'm going to say a little louder in case there are any outside. Any Yachad teachers who are here, full part-time teachers, please come here and help bless the Torah. There's more on that side too. Baruch Adonai mevorach leolam vaed.
Amen. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe Bahar Sinai lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem ki tavou el haaretz asher ani noten lachem v'shavta haaretz Shabbat l'Adonai.
שש שנים תזרע שדך, ושש שנים תזמור כרמך, ואספת את תבואתה.
ובשנה השבת שבת שבתון יהיה לארץ שבת לאדוני שדך לא צירה בחרמך לא צימנור.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nitzcha b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And before you go back to your seats, teachers, teens can go back, but before you go back to your seats, teachers, I think Rabbi Molly Kane, our Director of Youth and Family Programs, has a special blessing for you. And Tehillah Eisenstadt, our indefatigable Director of Yachad. Let's say Yasher Koach Tehillah.
So before I offer our teachers a blessing, Tehillah is going to say a few specific words to some of our teachers who are leaving.
Karen, You've been here the longest, I think, out of all of us. And our blessing to you is, may all the students in your life bring you as much joy and laughter in your hardest moments as you bring your students in their hardest moments. And may all the teachers that you continue to support the way you've supported our teachers during orientation know just how fortunate they are to have you in their lives. By the way, I'm saying some brachot, they're just like little snippets. When you see all these wonderful teachers at the picnic, you'll give them your own brachot. Kate, in absentia for running Camp Yachad downstairs right now for our K-2, who has also been here since she was at Yachad. May your clients, she's a social worker studying in social work school, and all those in your care recognize how much you've been working and always concerning yourself with serving them as best as possible. May you be served by the communities you support with tremendous care. Aaron, hi. May you continue to find great questions, more opportunities for exploration, and may you continue to find spaces to pour your heart into supporting your students, particularly middle schoolers, and all their specific moments. Cade, in absentia, Cade said they wanted to be obsolete one day, and instead we've hired so many other learning specialists. So may Cade always know their value and their need in the world. And then to Jess, our incoming assistant director, to Jessie Sander downstairs, our incoming learning specialist who's helping run Camp Yachad, and to Rose Snitz, an absentia, but our new teen director and tefillah coordinator. You are our blessing. And may we, in return, give you many, many brachot for the years you spend with us. Thank you so much.
So I'm going to invite one of our teachers, or two of our teachers, to come touch the Torah scroll right here. Maybe Haley, Aaron, come touch the scroll. Everybody link up to Haley and Aaron. Come closer, come closer. There's this not so ancient tradition where when a teacher starts on a first day, somebody's supposed to bring you an apple. But the Jewish people kind of have a complex relationship with the apple. Because you know the apple happens and Eve takes a bite of it and things go downhill for humanity, women, et cetera, et cetera. So on this morning, I imagine that what you received at the beginning of your year as educator, the beginning of your year as educators, is a pair of binoculars. Binoculars allow people to see things far away, and that is what you have done for your students. You have given them a set of eyes to see ideas and concepts and people and humanity closer up. You've taught them how to wrestle with what they see, but really you've given them a way to see things in new ways, to see things closer up that might have been far away. And you have done even more, something else. So I imagine if you got your binoculars, you got the binoculars in a case. Because over the past couple of years, you've also helped to keep kids safe, to help kids feel like it's gonna be okay. And so, Mishaberach Avotenu Vimotenu, may the ones who have blessed our ancestors bless all of you in your new adventures, in your continued adventures, and may you go from strength to strength. And let's all say, Amen.
On page 667, we offer Kaddish de Rabbanan for all of you. Stay up here, stay up here. We're still blessing you. We're not done with you yet. So we sing for them, page 667 again. For our teachers and their students and the students of our students, we ask for peace and loving kindness, and let us say Amen.
now going to invite up our 8th and 9th graders for the Aliyah to the Torah. Come on up. They perhaps were not told this, but they are going to come up for the, I'm hoping, they're going to be willing to come forward for the Aliyah. The words are right here.
And chanting this second Aliyah, Ruby Blum Wallach, Oliver Katzman, and Nathan Blum, in that order. Please come to the Torah. We're continuing from Leviticus chapter 25, verse 5. So we need right here at the Torah, first Ruby, then Oliver, and then Nathan. So Ruby. One second, we're going to make sure that you have your right spot.
Ready. 1, 2, 3.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch
Adonai Mevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Safi. Katzir echad lo tektor ve'et nazirecha lo tiktor shanat Shabbaton yeh la'aretz.
V'hayeta Shabbat ha'aretz lahem leha ulavdeha vela'amateha velishireha utosha leha hagarim imach.
Veliv hemtecha velachaya asher be'artzecha tieh tevuata le'echo.
Closing blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam atah v'tefenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Yasher koach. All right, now we're going to invite our 10th grade up for the Aliyah. So, yes, our 8th graders have a prayer for peace to offer us.
While our Torah scroll is open, it's sometimes traditional to offer a prayer for the state of Israel. Our 8th graders have spent the past year studying about Israel and Palestine, and they're going to offer a prayer for peace for that region.
Our divine guardian, rock and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, the beginning of our redemption. Shield it beneath the wings of your steadfast love and spread it over the shelter of your peace. May a spark of your spirit inspire the actions of its president, prime minister, officials, judges, and advisors that they may follow the path of righteousness, liberty, and freedom. Strengthen the hands of those who build and protect our holy land and grant them salvation and life. Grant peace to this land and everlasting joy to its inhabitants. Be near to all the people of Israel throughout the lands of their dispersion. Plant within their hearts the love of Zion, and may those of our people who are so inspired come to Jerusalem, your city, which bears your name. Spread your spirit all over the inhabitants of our land. Uproot hatred, jealousy, and evil. Plant in our heart love and brotherhood, peace and friendship, and speedily fulfill the version of your prophet. Nation will not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn more anymore. And let us say amen.
Amen.
All right, now we're ready for the 10th graders. Come on up, 10th graders, for the Aliyah.
Yamdu kol talmidei kita yod shelanu l'aliyah Torah. And chanting this Aliyah, Lucy Raddick and then Audrey Wood. Lucy and Audrey front and center, and all the others gather around. Continuing from verse 8. hold this open? All right, thank you. That's great.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan banu mikol ha'amim, natan lanu et Torto. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah. ישפרת את השמי שבע שבתו שמני 7 שנים 7 פעמים והיו ימי 7 שתות השנים 7 שנים שנה.
וקידשתם את שנה ה-50 שנה וקראתם דרור בארץ לכל יושביה, יובל היא תהיה לכם, ושבתם איש אל אחוזתו ואיש אל משפחתו תשובו. Blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam natan b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
With the Torah in our midst, we pause to think about people who are in need of healing. Offer a Mishaberach prayer. If you want to find the words, you can look at page 371 in your prayer book. And I'm going to make a pause in the middle for people to shout out or call out names of people you're praying for. We pray for the following people we name. We pray together. It is time to, is it time for dismissal? Not yet. Okay, it's time to lift and dress our Torah. I'm going to ask Rabbi Kane to come forward to help lift the Torah and ask everyone to please rise.
Page 370.
370. Vision of Torah, Asher Moshe, B'nei Israel, Mi'adonai, Mi'ad Moshe. Torah, 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 Tzivah lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tzivah lanu Moshe. Torah Shagi, Torah, 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 Tzivah lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tzivah lanu Moshe. Torah Shagi
Please be seated. Raise your hand if you have someone who became B'nai Mitzvah in this space already. There's someone in your house who became B'nai Mitzvah. Okay, put your hands down. Raise your hand if there's someone who is going to become B'nai Mitzvah in this space, God willing. Oh my goodness. So you're getting taste, slowly but surely, of what to imagine on that special day, yeah?
So true. Yeah. No. Okay, so it's going to be what we do on Shabbat morning every week is we read from the Torah, as you just heard, and then we read Haftarah. We hear the Torah in the voice of the prophets. We get to hear how they are applying Torah to their time, and then we hear when you become B'nai Mitzvah, you're going to then teach us Torah for our time. And so we're going to invite the 10th graders up again to chant from the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 32. We're going to look at page 862 in our Torah commentaries if you want to follow along. We're going to ask Amelia Levinson and Naomi Melamed to come forward.
They're actually all going to make the blessing, if that's
And
okay.
they're all going to come forward.
Yeah.
Most obvious.
If you have a prayer book and you want the words in front of you in your own copy, you're welcome to bring one. The blessings are on page 372 if you want to follow along with those in the prayer book. Come all the way around. All the way around. I want you to sing the blessing right in Amelia's ear. Right there. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nevim tovim v'rasa v'divrehem hanemarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe abdo u'Yisrael amo V'yeh ha'emet v'tzedek. Oseh chesed la'alafim u'meshalem avon avot el chek b'nechem acharechem ha'el hagadol hagibor Adonai tzevaot shemo. Batiten lachem et ha'aretz ha'azot Asher nishbat la'avotam latetz lachem eretz zavat halav u'devash. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sur kol haolamim Tzadik bechol hadorot Ha'el hane'eman Ha'omer ve'oseh Hamadaber u'mekayem Shekol devarav emet v'tzedek Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'milim ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh Shenat lanu Adonai Eloheinu Zikutcha l'minecha L'kavod u'zetifaret Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu modim lach U'mevarchim otach יתברך שמך ותברכי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Amen. Yasher koach.
Yasher koach.
Yasher koach. So at this time, we're going to invite our younger Yachad grades to go to their last class of the school year. And so our 5th and 6th graders, I believe, are heading out the main door. Is that right? Grades 5 and 6 students are invited to head out. Parents should stay right here for some amazing Torah and amazing learning. You won't want to miss this. 5th and 6th graders to the main door. Find your teacher. 3rd and 4th graders to the side door. Hi, side door. How's it going? 3rd and 4th graders. Enjoy the morning. Ask your parents what they learned about when you see each other again.
As they're heading out, I want to invite our 9th graders forward to offer us our Devar Torah. Parents, if you're able to stay, please do stay. The 9th graders have worked hard to prepare this Devar Torah for you to hear. If you are staying in the sanctuary, would you come more to the center in front so that the 9th graders have your faces right in front of them? Certainly 9th grade parents, for sure, you come right to the center in the front, but everybody else, come on, let's give the 9th graders your presents. Yeah, 10th grade, thank you. Everybody come up to the front, come support our 9th graders as they're getting ready to give their Devar Torah. There you go. Section over here, would you come to the center? Good people over here, would you come more to the middle? Help them feel that you're right here with them. So as I mentioned before, on Shabbat morning, we hear the Torah, we hear the prophets teaching Torah in their time, and then we hear our teachers of our time teaching us Torah. The 9th grade has been working on a campaign they're going to tell you about, and they're connecting our Parsha to the work they've been doing. Listen up.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. V'kidashtem et shnat ha-hamishim shana ukratem dror ba'aretz lehol yoshveha yovel hai tiyeh lahem v'shavtem ish el ahut zato v'ish el mishpachto tashuvu.
And you will sanctify the 50th year and proclaim justice throughout the land for all its inhabitants. It will be a year of jubilee for you. Every person will return to their possessions and their families. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Behar. In it, we will learn about the concept of Yovel, the year of jubilee. In it, we are commanded to forgive all debts, free all slaves, and let the land rest every 50 years. Over millennia, we have lost track of when the Jubilee year is, but the values embodied in it are crucial for our lives today.
This year, in 9th grade, we have studied community organizing through a Jewish lens. It has been a combination of history, text, and activism. We studied groundbreaking New York Jewish organizers, specifically garment workers of the 1920s Lower East Side. We also spent time exploring housing justice through a Talmudic viewpoint. We went on a trip to Georgia and Alabama and explored the roots of the civil rights movement and how it impacted and still impacts Jews.
Throughout our class, we discovered that the issues that motivate us most are racial justice and climate change. Part of learning about racial justice was our trip to the South. We went to the Legacy Museum in Montgomery, Alabama, and learned how the U.S. judicial system disadvantages people of color with harsher and more frequent sentences than they deserve. We also learned about the extensive and unfair pretrial detainment that can last for years. Climate change is one of the world's most pressing issues, especially as we begin to feel its effects in a harsher and more frequent way. In just a few years, these effects will be irreversible, and it is going to be us that live in the resulting world, or lack thereof. The Renewable Rikers Project is the intersection of climate and racial justice, a powerful idea that both helps NYC become cleaner and less dependent on fossil fuels, and eliminates a terribly inhumane jail that predominantly imprisons people of color. Renewable Rikers is a plan to close the Rikers Island jail by 2027 and build a clean energy plant in its place.
For our activism project, we wrote a youth petition directed at Council Member Shahana Hanif, Council Speaker Adrian Adams, and Mayor Eric Adams. We are asking the city to make good on its 2019 commitment to execute the Renewable Rikers Initiative.
If we wish to peacefully coexist with the earth like the Jews of Moses' time, we must take responsibility for the land. Repairing and renewing the world are pinnacles of Judaism, so as Jews, we must care for our planet in an equitable and renewable fashion.
Uvchol eretz achuzatchem geula titnu le'aretz. In all the land that belongs to you, there shall be redemption. What does it mean to redeem the land? The Talmud teaches that throughout the land that you hold, you must provide for the redemption of the land. Rikers Island may be controlled by our city of New York, but in reality, the land belongs to God. How can we sanctify the land so that it's meeting a purpose acceptable to God? Redemption in the Torah is viewed as a way of bringing the land back to its original purpose and pure state. Clearly, the Rikers Island jail is anything but pure. Rikers' inhumane conditions make it a stain on the land of God and a stain on our city. We must work to redeem the land, giving it a new purpose.
The use of Rikers Island for the imprisonment of thousands of people is an abhorrence, especially considering the particularly poor treatment of inmates at Rikers. Furthermore, the scale and magnitude of the mistreatment occurring at Rikers demands further recompense than just shutting down the jail. In order for the land to be redeemed as God has told us to, some good must come of it. The Renewable Rikers Project aims to do this.
During these past 50 years, communities of color have been subjected to stop and frisk, the war on drugs, and the criminalization of poverty. Now, more than ever, we need a jubilee. We hope to pivot in another direction for our city, bringing a new era of healing, both for the people and for our land. Action cannot wait another 50 years, and neither can meaningful work on the global threat of climate change. It must happen now. In 2027, we hope to see the Rikers of our future, a new, renewable Rikers Island. As I said, we created a petition directed to District 39 Councilmember Shahan Hanif, the Speaker of the City Council, and the Mayor. We hope to deliver it soon, but teens of CBE, we need your help. Anyone in grades 7 to 12 can sign our petition, and we encourage all the people in this room who fit into that age group to do so. And parents, tell your kids to sign. We need all the signatures we can get. The link is bit.ly/renewablerikers22. We also have QR codes that go to that petition somewhere in this room. They'll be handed to you on the way out. So we just really want your help. Thank you.
As we read today, Ukratem doror ba'aretz lecho yoshveha, yovel hai tiyeh lachem. Sanctify the 50th year and proclaim justice throughout the land for all its inhabitants. It will be a year of jubilee for you. May this city bring us closer to a renewable Rikers and a just New York City. Shabbat Shalom.
Yesher Koach. That was excellent. So the 9th and 10th grade, the 9th has been working on this campaign, and as you heard, has been learning about the roots of social justice and community organizing in New York City. And the 10th grade has been has a different curriculum, has been including looking at what they believe about God and thinking about the issues that affect them in their lives and how Torah text can guide them on that. But the 9th and 10th grade together traveled to the south, the trip that you just heard a little bit about. And our 10th graders are going to tell you a little bit more about that trip, what they experienced, what they saw, what they learned. And adults in the room, you might want to kind of prick up your ears because this fall we're going to be having this very trip for adults. So check out what they have to share with you about what they saw, what they learned, and 10th grade. Are you coming forward? 10th grade?
Shabbat Shalom. At the beginning of April, our 10th and 9th grade classes took a trip to the South with the sole purpose of learning about the civil rights movement. I think overall, most of us could say that this was a perspective-changing experience. I think everyone else, feels so grateful to have the opportunity to speak with activists and others who contributed to the movement and go look at memorials, museums, churches, synagogues, and other historical monuments, all while bonding with each other as young Jews. A few of us are going to talk about the moments that meant most to us.
On the first day, we visited the National Memorial for Peace and Justice. The lives of thousands of people were honored in gut-wrenching ways. The names of those who were lynched on American soil were engraved on coffin-like plaques, which hung above our heads. Many of the plaques had unknown written all over them.
On our trip, we visited Selma, Alabama, a city most commonly known for the famous Civil Rights March, which began there and concluded in Montgomery. When we were in Selma, we met with a woman named Joanne, who took part in that famous march over the Edmund Pettus Bridge, along with many other protests that unfolded over the course of the Civil Rights Movement. One of the sites Joanne brought us to is known as the Foot Soldiers Park, the place from which activists took their first steps on that long 5-day and 54-mile journey, an empowering journey that nevertheless subjected activists to brutal racial violence. Their courage inspired others across the country.
On the last day, after 2 full days of very heavy material, we were able to visit Martin Luther King's church and hear a sermon by Senator Warnock. Despite going through so much discrimination, African American culture in the South prevailed, and our group was able to see it in a very meaningful way. We also toured the neighborhood where Martin Luther King grew up and visited his grave, which was a beautiful memorial just minutes away from the house he was raised in. These last hours of our trip gave the group some optimism and hope after learning about extremely upsetting content in the days prior.
As a group, we felt like we learned a lot more than we learned in regular history classes. We discussed, we went to different locations throughout the South, and we experienced what it was like real hand instead of secondary sources like we learned in class. A lot of us have not been together since 7th grade, so it's special finally getting back together in 10th grade and experience this as a group. We had a fun time. It was an educational trip, a great education.
Yasher koach. Thank you, 10th graders. So who here thinks that systemic racism is a big problem in the United States? Raise your hand if you think that's... Mm-hmm. And who thinks it's the biggest problem in the United States, systemic racism? Interesting. Who thinks that climate change is a big problem in this world? And who thinks it's the biggest problem? Right. And who thinks they're the same problem? So what's interesting is that Torah, in this parsha, tells us that they're the same problem. And this week's parsha is the solution to the problem. So to give you some background, at the beginning of Torah, we have the Garden of Eden. And human beings live in harmony with the earth and all living things and with each other. And it's the ideal. And then we learn that violence and corruption and hatred of the other and oppression and our behavior was so horrible that God felt that the world needed to be destroyed. And not only that it hurt other people, but that it actually hurt the earth. We see after the flood, God says, I will no longer add any more to cursing the ground for the sake of humanity. The behavior of humanity was so bad that the earth itself was cursed by us. And then also, after the flood, God says, terror and dread of you will be upon all the animals. Because before the flood, in Eden, we actually lived in harmony with the animals, but after that, we lost our ability to live in harmony with animals. And the first covenant of the Torah is the covenant, it's the covenant with Noah and all life after the flood. And it is the covenant of the rainbow, right? And it's not actually with humanity as much as it's between God and all flesh, all animals. That's what it says, all flesh. And between God and the land. God had pretty much given up on humanity at that point. And then Rabbi David Seidenberg has this idea that what happens after that is that God decides to try again, but to try again with one family. Like the idea is, okay, like all of humanity, I don't know what to do about you all, but let's just start like with a pilot project, you know? Okay, so Abraham is going to be the beginning of a family, and we're going to try to get it right with one family, and then maybe it could spread out from that family. And so this was the idea of this next covenant, was trying to fix the relationship with humanity and humanity with the earth and humanity with each other through this one family. And the idea, of course, was that we would become a blessing to all the families of the earth. This is what it says, Kol Mishpachot Hadama. Now, then we, a lot happens to our family. We end up enslaved, we end up becoming free, and then we end up at Mount Sinai, and we're supposed to learn there, okay, so how do you do this? How do you live in harmony with other humans and with animals and the earth? And that's what Sinai is about. And Behar, at the mountain, is really the end, Behar Bechukotai, this double portion, is the end of the Sinai experience. We come to Sinai in the book of Exodus, and then through the Leviticus, we're still at Sinai, and then after Leviticus ends, we're in Bemidbar, which means we start to leave Sinai and go into the wilderness. So this is the end of the Sinai experience. It's kind of the culmination of the teachings of at Mount Sinai. And at this culmination, we learn about Shemitah, about the idea that there is a plan for a model society. And what a model society looks like are Shemitah and Yovel, as you all taught us. Shemitah and Yovel are that every 7 years, the land needs to rest, and that every 50 years, everything goes back to being equal. You start out with equal land. Everybody starts out with an equal amount of land. Everything's equal among people. And then it's going to get out of whack in 50 years. Some people are going to get richer. Some people are going to get poorer. Some people are going to lose their land. Some people are going to have to sell their land. Things are going to happen. But every 50 years, everybody, and some people are going to get enslaved in this model. That's the expectation, because they were living in a time when slavery was everywhere. So on the 50th year, everybody goes free. All forms of tyranny and all forms of oppression and all forms of domination and all forms of enslavement and all forms of poverty and wealth go back to equality. Everybody goes back to what they had 50 years before. And since it started out as equal, every 50 years it's equalized. And this is the model of how you actually have harmony between humans, because you have economic equality between humans, and also you end the oppression of slavery and all the forms of domination that humans do to each other. And you also return to a balance with the land. And this is how to have peace, justice, health, wellness, sustainability for life. So in the Shemitah year, as I mentioned, it's not just about humans and the land. It's about humans and other animals. It's about humans and humans. And that's why whenever the Shemitah year is mentioned, it talks about wild animals being able to partake of when the land is fallow, it's just left for anybody, for humans, for anybody who needs food, for any animals, and also why fences are supposed to be brought down during the Shemitah year, as Maimonides teaches. There's not a distinction in Torah between how we treat one another and how we treat the animals and how we treat the land. And next week's Parsha is about what happens if we do that, what kind of blessings come, and what happens if we don't do that, what kind of curses come. For Judaism, social justice and environmentalism are not two different things. We have a holistic understanding for how to live in a way that promotes life for humans, for animals, for the earth itself. This is wisdom that I think many of us are not aware is right there hidden in our Torah. We often think of these issues as bifurcated, and you have to prioritize which one you're going to work on. The vision of Torah is that we would find a way to live in peace in all these realms, and that actually we exist to find that way to live in peace in all these realms. May we learn from and live by this wisdom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, we are going to return the Torah to the Ark. Please rise.
Page 374. Standing and turn to page 586 for Ali.
So we always conclude by thinking about people we love whom we've lost and people who matter in the world whom we've lost. And the 10th grade wanted to split their presentation into one part about the trip and one part about memory. Before they share with us their thoughts, I want to just take a moment to give a special thank you to Haley Breskin, who has been our youth director, who's organized all of our bestie programs, all of our youth programs, our teen programs, has taught in various high school years for, how many years have you been here, Haley? For 3 years. It's been a really important part of our CBE community, and this is the end of her time with us. She's going to be going on to other things. So Haley, thank you for all that you've given to our community. And we bless you with peace and loving kindness as you go on your way. All right, 10th grade, we want to hear from you, and come on up.
Shabbat Shalom. As the other half of the 10th grade class have presented about the trip, we would like to create a space to honor some of the names of the people whose lives were taken during the Civil Rights Movement. These people showed a lot of bravery, although a lot of them had no choice but to. It is important to remember their names and the causes of their passings. There are so many more names not on this list, but these are just a few of the people that we learned about on our trip.
Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, Cynthia Wesley. These 4 girls were killed in the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama on September 15, 1963.
Leo Frank. He was a Jewish man who was lynched on August 17, 1915, after being falsely accused of murder.
Jimmy Lee Jackson was shot while peacefully protesting. He died on February 26, 1965. Reverend James Reeb was murdered while marching from Selma to Montgomery on March 11, 1965. Viola Gregg Liuzzo was shot and killed by members of the KKK on March 25, 1965. Jonathan Daniels sacrificed his life to protect Ruby Sales and was shot on August 20th, 1965. These 4 people are honored on a mural at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., known as a leader of the Civil Rights Movement, he was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. And we would now like to honor the several thousand victims of lynching in U.S. history, most of whose names remain unknown. May their memories be a blessing.
Please join us in a moment of silence to commemorate the lives lost during the Civil Rights Movement. Thank you.
Thank you. If only this was a story about the past. This very week, we had a mass murder of Black people because they were Black 1 week ago. If only this was a story about the past. The following people were murdered a week ago because they're Black. Roberta A. Drury, Margus D. Morrison, Andre McNeil, Aaron Salter, Geraldine Talley, Celestine Cheney, Hayward Patterson, Catherine Massey, Pearl Young, Ruth Whitfield, Zaire Goodman, Jennifer Warrington, Christopher Braden, Zichronam Livracha. If you are here in the period of Shiva, in the first week since the death of a loved one, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. If you're here in Shloshim in the first 30 days since the death of a loved one, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. If you're here in Shana in the first year since the death of a loved one, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. If this is a yard site for you, the anniversary of a death, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. We all rise in company with the mourners in our midst. As we remember these recent losses in our congregational community, Florian Matos, father of Peggy Libinson, father-in-law of Richard Libinson, and grandfather of Nicole and Danielle. Edith Brenner, mother of Amy Brenner, mother-in-law of Scott Zucker, and grandmother of Nathaniel and Elia. William Greenbaum, father of Anna Solomon, father-in-law of Michael Berger, and grandfather of Sylvia and Samuel. And these yard sites, Cecil Amdur, Ray Applebaum, Newton Gordon of Rutus, Molly Barron, Eric Baum, Blanche Burshad, James Brooks, Sylvia Busis, Arthur Butcher, Sylvia Corwin, Faye Dobro-Kaufman, Herbert Carl Fetterman, Rose Feinstein, Joseph Feuerstein, Brenda Fireman, Ben Fireman, Bernard Gersten, Monica Dennis Goldberg, Dan Geyer, Shirley Holab, Laeta Israelite, Jack Kane, Jerome Kaufman, Martin King, Abraham Kodzison, David Kurik, Nathan Lesher, Max Levine, Abraham Levy, Rabbi Joseph Leaf, Doris Mandelbaum, Nathan Mass, Kathy Matty, Erwin Meyer, Jen Miel, Saul Morris, F. Whitlock Newman, Dr. Imre Ney, Norman Price, Adam Raymond, Seymour Rosenblatt, Saul Rosenblum, Leonard Rosenbluth, Francis Getson Schlein, Robert Shapiro, Doris Stahl, Carolyn Steinbrink, William Strick, Rabbi Sidney Tedeschi, Florence Van Ralt, Sadie Lolke Weintraub, Sidney Wertheimer, Erwin Witkoff, Pauline Wolf, Leonid Yaruski. We say of all of them together, along with all who were named today. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. The Mourner's Cottage is on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'galau v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei t'kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the maker of peace make peace for all who mourn. And we say together, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. We're going to head over here for Kiddush. And the 11th graders, are the 11th graders here? didn't know if that happened. They were going to bring all kinds of bagels for us to taste test. They came, they delivered them, and then they left? Not clear. Not clear. Okay, well, enjoy Kiddush, everyone.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Yes, so we'll have bagels there in a moment, and to bless those bagels, we say Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom.